Morning. Let's go for a walk. Are you fluent in Christianese? You know, the language which Christians band around and use all the time, but which is probably a bit scary or weird or baffling for non-Christians. The trouble with Christianese is it can put a real barrier between us, the Christians, and people who aren't. And actually, if we're honest, those of us who've perhaps been in the faith a long time are sometimes completely clueless as to what a phrase means. Hello, why the long face? Now, the New Testament was written in everyday Greek, and I find that really encouraging, because that tells me that I can share the good news of Jesus without using fancy words. Now, I'm not saying we can't use these words, but what I am saying is we need to be a little bit careful sometimes when we use them. Are we putting a barrier up for other people? Do we need to define them, give a definition? Or is there a different word we can use which would make sense to people? So, without further ado, here's 10 Christianese words and their definitions. But I've got to say, just before we start, and completely off the subject, have you seen how beautiful it is where we live in Weston? Aren't we blessed? You said a big thank you to God for it. Repentance. We use this word all the time. It doesn't mean sorry. It means to stop doing something. It actually means to do a 180 degrees turn, to move away from it. Sorry, not really a massive biblical concept. It's repentance is a big one. To turn away. To stop doing something. Lay hands on. That's a pretty freaky phrase if you're unchurched. Let's say the word pray instead. Doing life together. Really? Trendy Christian phrase. Just means hanging around with other Christians, not just doing church services. I think this is one we could really consign to a bin. Fellowship means doing Bible and prayer and worship with other Christians. If you band that phrase around to non-Christians, they're going to think you're in Middle Earth. The sheep, the drum, and the snake fall off a cliff. What noise do they make? Badumtis. I don't feel led. People say that and they really mean I don't want to do it. Christians love this one. You ready for it? Season of life. Oh, Christianese all over. What they mean is, I'm going through a different time of life. Ooh, controversial one coming up. Some people aren't going to like it. Gospel. Doesn't mean anything to anybody. The word gospel comes from good news. Good news about Jesus. So I'd suggest, instead of using the word gospel, how about we use the words good news? This word gets bandied about in all sorts of ways. But normally, the word anointed, we say about somebody. What we actually mean is, they've got a God-given ability. This one, quiet time. I use this all the time. I use it to mean a time when I read my Bible and pray and listen to God. But for non-Christians, it's going to sound a bit weird, the quiet time. Maybe like I've been on the naughty step. And let's face it, even those things are absolutely vital to following Jesus, I would argue. We can also connect with God in all sorts of places. Like up here. Cows. Utterly hilarious. I haven't got a number 10. Because I thought you could have a think about what Christianese you use, which perhaps you need to define when you use it, or perhaps come up with an alternative word. We're not dumbing down the gospel here. Oh, good news, sorry. What we're doing is we're making it accessible, just like Jesus did. Oh, it's windy up here. It's going to sound awful on the YouTube. But what we're doing as Christians is we're pointing the way to Jesus. When I think about Christians who just said things how it was, I think about Peter. In 1 Peter 3, verses 15 and 16, Peter says, "And if someone asks to explain for the hope you have in Jesus, be ready to explain it. but always do it with gentleness and respect. So here's my challenge today. Think through, why do you follow Jesus? Maybe write it down and try and eliminate all the Christianese. Have a great day.